Hello everyone! Today we're taking a closer look at Liam Payne's life. A story filled with incredible highs, heartbreaking lows, and everything in between. From his rise to fame with One Direction to the personal struggles that followed. Liam's journey was far from easy. Let's dive into his story and try to understand the person behind the headlines.
Me and Pete just hanging out. Look at that face.
Liam Payne's journey to fame was a lot. If there's one thing you need to know about him, it's that he was a guy who believed in following the rules. He thought if he did everything right, success would just follow. Spoiler alert, that's not really how the industry works. So let's go back to the X Factor in 2008. Picture 14-year-old Liam, full of hope and ready to show the world what he's got. He auditions with Fly Me to the Moon, and honestly, he did pretty well.
In other words, baby, kiss me.
But Simon Cowell, in true Simon fashion, felt something was missing. Instead of shutting him down completely, he gave Liam some classic talent show advice. Come back in 2 years. And Liam, he took it to heart. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That rejection, it haunted him. Like, imagine being the guy who got rejected from the X Factor and having people remind you of it every time you try to live your life. He even shared a story about how some guy straight up called him an X Factor reject while he was on a date. Ouch. But instead of giving up, Liam did what he always did. He put in the work. He performed at local shows, kept training his voice, and when 2010 came around, he was ready for his second shot. This time, he sang Cry Me a River, and it was a game changer.
Well, just to prove that you do, come on and cry me a river.
Simon was impressed, standing ovation, approving nods, the whole deal. It was clear that Liam had come back stronger, just like Simon had hoped. Liam advanced to the bootcamp stage of the X Factor. However, he didn't progress further as a solo artist. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. While many credit Simon Cowell with forming One Direction, it was actually Nicole Scherzinger who played a pivotal role. In previously unreleased footage, Nicole is seen suggesting that Liam be grouped with 4 other solo contestants: Harry, Niall, Louis, and Zayn. When discussing Liam's inclusion, Simon remarked he thinks he's better than everyone else, to which Nicole responded, yeah, he could be the leader.
Definitely shy. He could actually maybe be the leader. So he's the standout. He could be the leader.
He
one of
thinks
the
he's
leaders
better
of
than
this group.
anyone else.
And for a moment there, it seemed Liam was poised to lead the newly formed group. At first, he was that guy. He stood in the center, got the big solos, and usually sang first in their songs. But then, Harry happened. Slowly but surely, Harry's effortless charm took over, and suddenly, Liam wasn't the frontman anymore. It was a shift, and let's be honest, it had to sting, if you see it from Liam's perspective. Liam's rise to fame was all about discipline and structure. He did what he was told, he put in the work, and he genuinely believed that following the formula would bring him long-term success. And in a way, it did. But it also meant that when One Direction blew up, he wasn't necessarily the most beloved member. He wasn't the funny one, the mysterious one, the effortlessly cool one, or the cute, relatable one. He was just Liam, the one who kind of got overshadowed. After their formation on the X Factor, One Direction skyrocketed to global fame, and Liam, the once rule-abiding, clean-cut kid, found himself thrust into a whirlwind of screaming fans, sold-out arenas, and a life far removed from anything he'd known before. Let's not forget, Liam was only 16. He was still growing up, trying to figure himself out while the world watched his every move. In the early days, he had that boy next door charm, neatly styled hair, soft smile, always the responsible one. But as the band's fame exploded, so did Liam's journey of self-discovery. The polished look gradually gave way to edgier hairstyles, and then came the tattoos. Maybe he was trying to carve out an identity in the chaos of superstardom. I think it wasn't about shedding his old self. It was about growing up, finding his voice, and embracing the freedom that came with being a global star. Liam was never trying to be anyone else. He was just figuring out who he was, and doing it all under a microscope. Liam's penchant for order earned him the nickname Daddy Direction. I think Ed Sheeran once quipped that without Liam, the rest of the band would probably be in prison. Whether that's an exaggeration or not, it's clear that Liam played a pivotal role in keeping the group's antics in check.
I got the name as Daddy Direction.
The dad of the group.
3, 2, 1.
Daddy of the group used to be anyway, but we've corrupted him a little bit.
I'm sure he knows deep down he's the sensible one.
Liam wasn't just the band's babysitter. He had his share of standout moments. And honestly, I never really realized how talented he actually was until I revisited some of those performances. He had a way of connecting with the audience, making each show feel intimate despite the massive venues. His stage presence was undeniable. He often created memorable moments that energized the crowd, and he had this unique ability to make even the biggest arenas feel personal. Liam's vocals honestly deserve a moment of appreciation. He had this rich, smooth tone that added so much depth to One Direction's music. And he handled some pretty challenging parts with ease. I'll show you some of his best performances later, but one that really took me by surprise was his cover of Billie Eilish's Everything I Wanted. I stumbled upon it after his passing, and I have to say, I was genuinely impressed. His voice carried so much emotion, and the way he delivered it felt raw and honest. It made me realize just how much talent he had, beyond what we saw in the band. Liam's dedication and responsibility were double-edged swords. On one hand, they ensured the band's professionalism and reliability. On the other, they sometimes painted him as the boring one, overshadowed by his more carefree bandmates. His struggle to balance being the dependable anchor while trying to let loose and enjoy the ride was evident. This internal tug-of-war contributed to his later challenges, as he grappled with finding his place both in the band and as a solo artist. His journey with 1D wasn't all fun and games. The relentless touring schedule took its toll. Liam often spoke about the monotony of hotel rooms and the isolation that came with fame. In interviews, he admitted to feeling trapped, saying, "I learned to become a recluse a long time ago, and once you get in that pattern, it's dangerous because you get stuck in it." He even revealed in a candid interview that he began to drink too heavily, and it took a toll on his health. "I went through a stage in the band when I was drinking really heavily. I put weight on and didn't notice," he said, noting that people would refer to him as the fat member of the group. Liam's relationship with his bandmates were a mix of brotherhood and occasional drama. Classic boy band dynamics, management often portrayed the members as inseparable best friends, a narrative that, while heartwarming, didn't always reflect the complexities behind the scenes. After all, they were teenage boys, thrust into global fame, and it's only natural that tensions would arise. Arguments, jealousy over solos, and competition for fan attention were likely part of their journey, much like any group of young artists navigating unprecedented success. Liam once admitted that he and Louis absolutely hated each other at first, both low-key fighting for the leader role. But over time, that rivalry melted into a solid friendship.
Is now is that me and Louis did not get on at all.
We used to be at each other's throats while we were on the X Factor.
We were two completely different characters.
He took it so seriously.
In a 2022 interview on Logan Paul's podcast, which we'll get into later, Liam shared an incident where a bandmate threw him up a wall during a heated exchange. He recalled responding, "If you don't remove those hands, there's a high likelihood you'll never use them again." While Liam didn't name the individual, his ex-fiancée Maya Henry later identified Zayn as the bandmate involved in the altercation. With Harry and Niall, it was mostly smooth sailing. They shared the roller coaster of fame and supported each other along the way. In the end, they had each other's backs through the chaos of fame, and Liam's loss brought that brotherhood back into focus, reminding all of us just how much they'd been through together. Post One Direction, Liam embarked on a solo career. His debut single, Strip That Down, released in May 2017, achieved commercial success, but left fans questioning its reflection of his true artistry. Liam himself admitted to grappling with his musical identity, often expressing uncertainty about his direction as an artist. The track soared to number 3 on the UK singles chart and cracked the top 10 on the US Billboard Hot 100, earning multi-platinum certifications. He followed up with collaborations like Get Low with Zed and For You with Rita Ora, the latter becoming a global hit and part of the 50 Shades Freed soundtrack. Despite early momentum, Liam's debut album LP1 faced delays, finally releasing in December 2019. The album received mixed reviews and peaked at number 17 on the UK album chart, a modest position when we compare it to his initial singles. Liam's solo career often found itself unfairly measured against his bandmates' successes. And let's be honest, those were some pretty big shadows to step out of. While Harry Styles leaned into artistic exploration and Zayn carved out a moody R&B-infused niche, Liam's work was sometimes criticized for lacking a clear direction. Critics claimed he struggled to define his sound, with some suggesting his solo material didn't quite live up to the depth of what he brought to One Direction. And let's not forget, Liam was crucial to One Direction's success. He co-wrote a ton of their tracks, shaping the band's sound in ways that often went unnoticed. The contrast was striking. Harry embraced his quirks and took creative risks, crafting music that felt undeniably him. Meanwhile, Liam seemed caught in the tug-of-war between playing it safe and finding his true voice. In the end, his journey was a roller coaster of early chart toppers, identity struggles, and the constant pressure to prove himself, all under the unforgiving glare of the spotlight. Liam's personal life further complicated his public image. One of his most publicized relationships was with the singer Cheryl Cole. The pair started dating in 2016 and welcomed their son Bear in March 2017. And despite their split 1 year later, they remained committed to co-parenting their son. But if his relationship with Cheryl was quiet post-breakup, his next one was the complete opposite. Enter Maya Henry, model, influencer, and the co-star of one of his messiest celeb breakups in recent memory. Their on-again, off-again romance began in 2019, leading to a whirlwind engagement in 2020. Fans were excited, but behind the scenes, things were far from picture perfect. Allegedly, Liam's personal demons and struggles with substance abuse added strain to the relationship, and by May 2022, it all came crashing down. And then, the real drama kicked in. Post-split, Maya decided to channel her heartbreak into a novel called Looking Forward. Initially, she played coy about its inspiration. But let's be honest, the hints were about as subtle as a sledgehammer. She later confirmed it was based on real-life events, diving into themes of addiction, emotional manipulation, and the dark side of fame. But wait, there's more. After the breakup, things spiraled into a legal circus. Maya sent Liam a cease and desist letter, accusing him of harassment and claiming he wouldn't stop contacting her and her family, allegedly creating a new iCloud account to get through. Some sources even claimed that Liam threatened to leak intimate photos of her, though nothing was ever confirmed. Of course, this wasn't a one-sided narrative. Maya faced heavy criticism for airing their dirty laundry in public, with many accusing her of taking things too far and tarnishing his reputation beyond repair. In interviews, Maya painted the dark picture of their relationship, alleging Liam would send alarming messages like, "I'm going to die," to manipulate her into staying. She also blamed his erratic behavior and substance abuse as major factors in their downfall, making the whole situation even murkier. Then came Kate Cassidy. Liam's final public relationship began in late 2022. The pair attended several public events together, and Kate was by his side during his trip to Argentina in October 2024. I think Liam's personal life became a tabloid feed-in frenzy, a tangled web of love, heartbreak, addiction, and the unforgiving glare of fame. While we may never know the full truth of what happened behind closed doors, one thing is clear. Liam's story was far more complicated than the headlines ever let on. Liam's personal life and public statements have often placed him under intense scrutiny, leading to a complex relationship with the fans and the media. Following Maya Henry's allegations, Liam faced significant public backlash. Fans who once idolized him found themselves grappling with the unsettling allegations that surfaced. Some felt blindsided, questioning if the charming, soft-spoken boy they'd grow up adoring had a darker side. However, it's essential to approach such situations with caution. While the allegations were serious, they remained unproven in a court of law. The court of public opinion, however, can be harsh and unforgiving, often overlooking the principle of innocent until proven guilty. It's easy to forget that there are always two sides to a story, and sometimes the truth lies somewhere in the messy middle.
Part of the reason One Direction was made was because of Simon's promise to me that in 2 years, I'll make this work for you.
Wow.
So he kind of started with my face and then worked around the rest. I've never told that story before.
You were the inception.
I was the honorary member of One Direction, yeah.
Oh boy, where do we even start with that interview? In May 2022, Liam decided to grace Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. Because if there's one place to carefully unpack years of band drama, it's on a show hosted by a controversial YouTuber turned fighter. What could possibly go wrong? Spoiler alert, everything. From the moment Liam opened his mouth, it felt like watching a slow-motion car crash. He spilled tea nobody asked for, throwing subtle and not so subtle shade at his former bandmates, particularly Zayn Malik. Liam took it upon himself to psychoanalyze Zayn, suggesting that his upbringing played a role in his behavior. Because what's a podcast appearance without some amateur psychology? But wait, it gets worse. Liam claimed that One Direction was essentially formed around him after his X Factor audition, subtly patting himself on the back for being the chosen one. The cherry on top, he bragged about that physical altercation with Zayn. Unsurprisingly, the internet erupted. Fans were livid, accusing him of arrogance and pettiness. The interview painted him as bitter and desperate for attention, a far cry from the sweet, level-headed daddy direction persona we all thought we knew. It was a PR disaster of epic proportions, and the backlash was brutal. In true internet fashion, the memes and hot takes came flooding in, with Liam's name trending for all the wrong reasons. Watching Liam in that interview reminded me of his interview in the Diary of a CEO podcast. This version of Liam was vulnerable, introspective, and surprisingly self-aware. He opened up about his struggles with addiction, mental health, and the immense pressure he faced as part of One Direction. The honesty felt raw, unpolished, and incredibly human. One of the most touching moments came when he revealed that Harry had reached out to check on him during some dark times. It was a quiet reminder that beneath all the drama, there was still a bond between the boys. This interview painted a more sympathetic picture of Liam. Not a villain or a victim, but as a flawed person trying to make sense of his life after everything. Watching these two interviews back to back was honestly disorienting. I kept wondering, where did that introspective guy go? The Logan Paul interview felt like a massive step backward. What struck me most was the drastic contrast. In the first one, he opened up with vulnerability, sharing his struggles in a way that felt honest and raw. But in the second one, it was like he was trying too hard to be cool and relevant, almost desperate to prove something. The shift was jarring. Look, it's easy to tear celebrities apart when they slip up, especially when they serve the drama on a silver platter. But these interviews, as messy as they were, served as a reminder that Liam is, at the end of the day, just a human being. Has he made some questionable choices? Absolutely. Did he deserve a full wrath of the internet? Maybe not. Liam's appearance at Louis' movie premiere was a moment. Fans hadn't seen him in a while, and when he showed up, the internet exploded, but not necessarily in a good way. People couldn't stop talking about how different he looked. Some jumped into conclusions, assuming the worst about his health or personal life, while others criticized his appearance outright. What stood out, though, was how genuinely supportive he seemed of Louis. Seeing him show up for his friend felt meaningful. In a way, it reminded fans that despite the ups and downs, the bond between the boys still runs deep. And honestly, I think that deserves more attention than whatever the tabloids were saying about his cheekbones. Alright, so when Liam showed up at Niall's concert in Buenos Aires on October 2nd, 2024, the fandom collectively gasped. There he was, clapping and singing along, living his best life, or so it seemed. The videos spread like wildfire, sparking equal parts of excitement and side-eye. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the timing. Liam's appearance wasn't just a casual night out. Oh no, it came hard on the heels of Maya Henry's messy allegations. So, when Liam popped up at Niall's concert, some fans couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Was this a heartfelt show of support to his old bandmate, or a calculated move to shift the narrative? Let's be real, the other One Direction boys have attended each other's concerts without making themselves the center of attention. Liam, on the other hand, he had the internet buzzing about him instead of the actual performer, Niall. Coincidence? Some weren't so sure. Tragically, this concert turned out to be one of Liam's last public appearances before his passing. Suddenly, those concert videos felt more bittersweet than scandalous. His passing cast a somber shadow over what might have been seen as a simple night of music and nostalgia. Well, whether Liam showed up to support Niall, or chase a little spotlight, or just find a fleeting moment of normalcy, we'll never know. What's clear is that his story is one of talent, turmoil, and a constant battle against the weight of the public gaze. And maybe, just maybe that night, he was just a guy trying to reconnect with his past, even if the internet had other ideas. On October 16, 2024, the world was jolted by the heartbreaking news of Liam's untimely death in Argentina. Liam Payne fell from a hotel balcony, a tragic event that sent shockwaves through the music industry and his legion of fans. The medical cause of death has been confirmed as polytrauma. 5 people were charged in connection with his death in January. According to local prosecutors, Roger Norris was one of those individuals, but his charges and those of 2 others have since been dismissed. A hotel employee and a local waiter were detained on charges related to supplying him during his stay at the hotel. They remain detained and could face up to 15 years in prison, according to court documents. Given the sensitive nature of these developments, it's prudent to await the conclusion of official investigations before delving deeper into the legal aspects. On November 20th, 2024, family, friends, and fans gathered to bid farewell to Liam. Fans gathered outside in silence, holding signs, flowers, and photos of Liam in his One Direction glory days. Inside, the air was heavy with grief. And yes, the One Direction boys showed up. Harry, Louis, Zayn, and Niall were all there, each arriving separately, but connected by the unspoken bond of shared loss. In the days following Liam's passing, rumors swirled about a possible One Direction reunion to honor him. Fans clung to the hope that the band might come together for a tribute performance. However, as time passed, it became evident that such a reunion was not forthcoming. Look, we get it. The lack of a reunion stings. Fans craved that sense of closure, a moment to honor Liam's memory through the music that brought them all together in the first place. But it's not our grief to direct. The boys don't owe anyone a performance. Their pain is theirs to process in whatever way feels right. If there's anything to take away from this tragedy, it's a reminder that life is fragile, and the battles people fight behind closed doors are often invisible. Liam Payne wasn't just a pop star, he was a son, a friend, and a man who struggled with demons most of us will never understand. So instead of mourning what could have been, let's celebrate what was. His music, his presence, his laugh, those moments are what we should hold on to. Let's remember him not for the way his story ended, but for the light he brought while he was here. Liam Payne's story is a stark reminder that fame isn't always the glittering dream it seems. Beneath the spotlight was a man who faced battles most of us will never fully understand. Some he won, and some he tragically lost. His life was a tapestry of soaring highs and heartbreaking lows. And while it's easy to focus on the headlines, we shouldn't forget the music, the laughter, and the moments of brilliance he shared with the world. Thank you for taking this journey with me through Liam's story. Let's remember him not just as a pop star, but as a person, flawed, complex, and deeply human. May we carry forward the lessons his life leaves behind. To show kindness, to look beyond the surface, and to hold space for those who are silently fighting their own battles.
Driving too fast, the moon is breaking through her hair. She said something that she won't forget. Laughing that you really want.